Okay, just in answer to your question, yes, no, actually, I don't want the answers sent to me. They're for you to keep, and we will go through them. Okay, so I don't need to read them all. It's, I don't need to mark them. It's for you to do this work because it's part of your study process. We'll go through them though, and just make sure that you have done them, because the questions that I'm asking are questions that are part of the examination process. Okay, so stone therapy. Let's talk about stone therapy. So hot stone therapy, hot rocks, whatever you want to call it, was originally created by Mary Nelson. And Mary Nelson is from Arizona in the USA. And so she's been a therapist for many, many years and had been developing and creating ways of working safely and effectively in the spa that helped spa therapists not injure themselves and strain themselves. As well as her research and the historic background of stone therapy is from Native American rituals where there's sweat lodges and herbs and stones and rocks and heat and sweat, and just using the hot and cold principles so that there would be a heat and then a cold element to it. I mean, looking also at, we'll get to the hot and cold element of it in a moment, but it was basically developed from looking at the ancient Native American rituals of purification and smudging, and that it was taken sort of from that vibe. And these lovely sweat lodges where that they would have a central fire, come together and sweat and use herbs, and it's based around that principle. And then it was brought into the spa world, thinking about how we can incorporate that heat treatment into a massage. And so Mary Nelson from Arizona in America created what's called elastone therapy. That was the origins of stone therapy, was elastone, spelled capital L-A, capital S-T-O-N-E, elastone. I was very fortunate to train with Lastone in 2003. I was trained by Jane Scrivener, she was taught by Mary Nelson and brought it over to the UK, and I trained with Jane in 2003. And I was a Lastone practitioner and still am. When you train with Lastone, you become a Lastone practitioner. And so they formulated this very particular routine and sequence and ritual that then was created by, with a lot of modalities, other spas and training providers and ITEC and City and Guilds. They developed their own style, and so that you can teach and learn stone therapy, but you can't call it Lastone. So Lastone have a copyright on their training. And so that you can learn the principles of stone therapy taught and as delivered by Mary Nelson, but it's now called hot stone therapy, unless you go and train with Lastone. If you want to go and train with Lastone, you can. So the origins there are based around, the Lastone is based around alternating hot and cold temperature. And it's coined as a phrase as geothermotherapy. Geo with a G-E-O, thermo, spelled thermo, and therapy is therapy. So geo is rocks of the earth, thermo is temperature, and therapy is therapy. So it's using rocks and matters from the earth to alternate hot and cold temperature for therapeutic benefits, and that's geothermotherapy. So we're going to learn geothermotherapy. We're going to learn the benefits of treating with hot stones and heat, and the benefits of working with cold. With stone therapy, I would say that it's predominantly hot, because when you think about having cold stones on you, it's like, but actually it's a little bit like having a nice cool flannel on a hot day, or having a cold drink. It's the hot is the higher percentage, if not sort of like 90%, and then like there's like a 10%, 15% application of cold. And what that causes, the heat, and this is for you to, we're going to do another assignment, for you to really research the benefits of hot on the body and heat on the body. And it's called vasodilation. And then cold on the body is vasoconstriction. That word vaso, we studied this the other day when we were doing the highly vascular capillary network. That word vaso means blood supply, blood vessel and blood. So vasodilation is where the capillaries dilate and open, allowing a lot of blood flow. And vasoconstriction is where the blood capillaries shorten and tighten, restricting blood flow. And so what you get, it's called a vascular pump. So you get vascular pump that's going hot, 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 cold, hot, 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 cold. And you're getting a very fast supply of fresh oxygenated blood. So when we're doing massage, normally we're massaging, effleuraging, cupping, hacking, whatever you're doing. And that is also bringing fresh oxygenated blood and a fresh blood supply into the muscles, into the skin. With the hot and cold temperature, it works much faster. And it is said that this hot and cold temperature, and certainly the hot application, penetrates 10 times deeper into the body. So 10 times deeper than an effleurage, 10 times deeper than your petrissage, 10 times deeper, because the heat causes that vasodilation. So they like us to know that it works 10 times deeper. In fact, they ask you, how many times deeper does it? Lovely ITEC. We love you, ITEC. But they want us to know 10 times deeper because that is stated by Mary Nelson. Okay. So yeah, there's lots of use of stones in rituals, and you can read through that, you know, with stones, well, from Stonehenge, with stone circles and sacred geometry and crystals of the earth, and stones are worn in like diamonds and rubies and emeralds, worn in royalty and emperors and empresses and different jewelries and breastplates. And so stones have a really wonderful resonance and frequency because they carry a lot of wisdom. The stone that we're working with in stone therapy is called basalt, and it's BASALT, and it's basalt. That's the black and sometimes green and red. The majority of basalt that you'll see is black. And it's lava rock. It comes from volcanoes. It's volcanic lava rock. And when the volcano erupts, it throws out basalt, lava, stone, as it tumbles down the mountains and then lands and goes into the riverbeds that surrounds the mountain, and then cools and tumbles in the riverbeds for hundreds, if not thousands of years. So it carries a lot of the earth's wisdom because it's a vibration and a frequency. The reason why basalt is used is because it holds the temperature. It has a really dense what's it called? Like it's I can't remember the word, but they measure density and hardness on what's called the Moh scale, MOH. This is all in the book here, and I've asked you what is the Moh scale, and it's for you to find out. But well, I've just told you. So the Moh scale basically measures density of matter, in particular rock. And crystals, and when we talk about the marble shortly, that's not so dense. So basalt is used, hot rock, because it retains the heat. And these stones, they can retain the heat. If they're larger stones, they can retain the heat for a good, half an hour. if they're placed on the body. When you're massaging with them, the interesting thing you'll see when we do the practical side of it is that it can be really, really warm and really hot in your hands, and then you can massage on the body, and then literally within 5 minutes they've lost their temperature because all the heat has been delivered into the body. So if you were to just leave the stone to the side, they can retain their heat, like I said, for about 20 minutes, 25 minutes. The larger ones, about half an hour. The smaller stones don't retain their heat for so long because they're smaller stones. Okay, so that's basalt. And that's a little bit about history. So one of the things that, and we'll go through the manual in detail another time, is that the Native Americans refer to stones of the earth as the Stone Clan people. And they talk about rocks and stones as the Stone Clan people. It says many tribes of Native American Indians use stones, affectionately known as the Stone Clan people, for reasons ranging from pure warmth to rites of initiation ceremonies. Their beliefs in the provision of Mother Earth and Father Sky, as well as honouring the forces of nature. So a lot of these traditions in Native American honour the earth and honour the sky as Mother Earth and Father Sky. And then they also respect and acknowledge the 5 elements, looking at the water, wood, fire, earth, and metal, and integrating those concepts into their rituals. So we'll study a little bit about the 5 elements when we come to that aspect. So the cold stones that we use are marble. And so there's several cold stones that can be used. There's cold marine, which is a harder cold stone, and then there's marble, which is quite a soft cold stone, and that's sort of crustaceans from the sea bed are formed together to create marble. And where is it about the marble in here? I can't remember where this is, but that has a smaller scale of hardness. So you've got to be very careful with marble that you don't drop them or crack them, because they're like glass to a degree. The marble is rock sourced mainly from the ocean. This is marble. Compression of marine and plant life, and calcite and limestone. Yeah, they're beautiful marble stones, and I'll show you some of my stones shortly. But yeah, that ranks at 3. I think that basalt is. Anybody got the figure for basalt? Was it like 7 or something like that on the Mohs scale of hardness? 7, yeah, 7 for basalt and 3 for marble. And with the cold stones, you can also use jade and quartz and sardonyx and other lovely stones that can be chilled. Okay, so yeah, I'm going to talk to you another time about. Well, I'll talk to you now. Is that you've seen them at college, and you've seen them, I'm sure. They look like slow cookers, but these are digitally and sensitive slow cookers, whereas some slow cookers you have like 3 settings and that's it. These slow cookers, they're not slow cookers, but they're stone heaters. They can either be digitally set, or they have a dial that's quite sensitive that you can raise and lower. Excuse me, sorry. You can raise and lower the temperature of the tank quite readily. The tank, we'll talk loads about this. I'm not going to bombard you, but this is sort of like the introductory class where I'm going to tell you a lot of information, and then we'll sort of backtrack a little bit with some of the other stuff. Benefits and contraindications, and a bit more about basalt and stones and crystals. We'll talk about the temperature safety when we do the practical work, but the tanks are set at 60 degrees centigrade to heat the stones up, and then they're dropped down to 54 degrees. 54 degrees is a really nice, safe working temperature for basalt. And you can handle the rocks at 54 degrees. You can hold them. When we do the practical session, I will teach you very clearly about safety and the just all the health and safety and cautions of dealing with handling the basalt and the tanks. And then the cold, and so they're immersed in water. They're immersed in water, heated up to 54. And the dial and those digital, they sort of keep the water regulated and the temperature regulated. Excuse me 1 second. And then the marble is put on ice. So you can, there's various ways of doing it. You literally get like an ice bucket, you can get a stainless steel bowl, which I've got here, and I put ice in it. I'll try and get some of my images from my teaching. I'll flag some images up for you next time, just so that you can see those of my marble on ice. And literally, you would need a bag of ice and a little bit of water, and you put the marble in there, and that keeps them nice and chilled. Okay, so yeah, so I'm looking in the manual now on page 40. Well, everything here, like the whole lot here, 42, 43, 44, 145, sorry. And I want to then come to you to ask you about these questions and to see whether you've accessed these questions and hear from you about these questions. There's, I'm just having a quick look, thermotherapy, Mary Nelson. Yeah, I mean, Mary Nelson, she was working in the 70s, and it wasn't until 1993. So she was 20 years in business developing practices, and she was sort of, looking at aspects of these rituals for in the 70s, and then it was delivered in 1993. So those little points there. Now, it's entirely up to you. But, all through my book, you'll see that it's all highlighted. Having known what's come up in examination, I've been able to put together these questions for you that I know that come up. So let's begin. What I might do is just see if there's anything else I need to say, and then I'm going to stop the recording so that we can just go through the questions, because we don't need to record the questions. The other thing about the hot and cold temperature is that it's working with homeostasis. And we're looking to balance the body, not only with the stone therapy, but with the crystals. And we're always looking at improving circulation, improving lymphatic circulation, improving, like, putting the body into a homeostasis situation. We'll talk about the benefits and list the benefits. Yeah. Okay, so that we will do another class on charging, cleansing, cleaning, mandalas, smudging. I'll do another class next time, but this is just your introductory class, and I'm going to pause it there, and we will come back next time and do some more theory. But for now, I'm just going to stop the recording so that we can go through some questions.